You're about to see a conversation that I had with Montse. Montse is currently a college student. She's actually finishing up college as an earth sciences major and about to start a PhD program in that field this upcoming fall at her same university. And it's been quite a journey for her to get to this point. The main theme of what we are about to talk about in this conversation is anxiety and some panic as well. Montse and I go all the way back to childhood when she was like 6 or 7, and what really sparked her anxiety and some factors there. And then we sort of trace her story all the way through being 6 or 7, going through then middle school, then high school, then college, and how her anxiety changed and what were some of the things that she suffered with along with that, as well as what are some things that helped her to get unstuck, helped her to move forward, and helped her to get to a point where now she really hasn't had a lot of anxiety or panic for the past 2 years. So it's quite a story, and I hope that you'll enjoy it. As a reminder, if you are someone who's struggling with anxiety as a teen or as a college student, we have a signature anxiety program that can help you. I basically packed my 20 years of tools and skills and strategies that I teach youth, put all of that into this program, and it's available to you. The first step is to have your parents watch our free training, which is kind of like an introductory video, a training where they learn 3 keys for helping you move forward with the next steps in your education and your friendships in the midst of anxiety. And in that introductory video, the training, your parents will also learn more about our signature anxiety program to see whether it's a good fit for you. So send that link to your parents. I'll have it in a comment below and in the description. And you're also welcome to watch the video as well, the training as well, if you yourself are a student. I would love that. Just know ahead of time that I'm talking to parents in the training because they tend to be the people who take that next step to enroll you in the program. Without further ado, here's the conversation with Montse. Well, Montse, thank you so much for being with us here on the channel. Welcome. And I always start out these conversations by giving people some context in case they've never seen one of these conversations before on our channel. So Montse is our guest today. We're going to have a conversation with her. My name is Dr. Park, and although I am a psychologist, I am not Montse's therapist. This is not a therapy conversation. This is just a conversation between the two of us. So that's my usual spiel. So again, welcome, Montse, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course. And thank you for having me.
Yeah. And I know before we hit record, we were talking about like, what are you comfortable sharing? What are you not comfortable sharing? And we kind of landed on this theme of anxiety. Where should we start in terms of talking about that and like that perspective on your story?
I can start like back in my childhood, if that's okay.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. So my parents separated when I was in elementary school. I was very young. I think I was like 7 years old. And it was a very messy separation and divorce, which we could get into at some point, but it was very bad. And having to switch houses caused me a lot of anxiety. But at that point in time, I didn't know that that's what it was called. Just very often, I would not be able to sleep, and I would just wake up in the middle of the night crying, and I would need to go throw up in the bathroom, and it would happen so consistently. Every time I would like switch from my mom's house to my dad's house, and that kind of continued throughout like middle school and high school, and I still didn't know what it was called until high school. But like in middle school, I remember almost every day just driving to school, I would be so anxious that I would feel nauseous and like have tummy rumbles, and I wouldn't be able to make it to school. I would be like, Papa, just pull over, please. I need to like go into that Dunkin' Donuts bathroom because I'm not going to make it. Like I would just be so anxious. And sometimes even getting to school, like I would be I would just go straight to the bathroom before class started and just be in there to calm myself down. And in high school, I finally figured out that there's something called anxiety. And I was like, oh, you mean people don't just feel nervous all the time? Like, this is not a normal thing? Oh, okay, that helps. And overall, I think my anxiety was related to my academic performance. I've always been a very high achieving student, but I think that in part is due to how anxious school would make me. So like I remember in middle school, some kids were talking about an upcoming test, and I was like kind of joining the conversation, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm so nervous about this test. I mean, I've studied for hours and I'm just so scared. And the other kids looked at me kind of like, why? You're Montse, you get the best grades. Why are you nervous? You shouldn't even study. And I was just like shocked. I was like, you don't understand.
You don't get it, yeah.
Yeah, I get good grades because I'm so nervous about it that it makes me spend hours studying. And yeah, starting college, I also was very nervous about all of my classes and specifically choosing my major. I switched my major like 6 times in my first 2 years. And I was struggling the most with that like high achieving side of me versus like what I really wanted to do. Like I thought I needed to do the hard stuff, the things people expected of me. Like everyone told me like I'd become an astrophysicist or I'd become like some incredible scientist. And I was like, it's expectations. And so I tried a bunch of really hard things, and I tried really difficult majors and engineering majors, and I loved some of them, but I could not visualize myself doing that for my future. And so finally, by the end of sophomore year, I knew I had to make a choice because I was not going to be able to graduate if I kept switching and if I didn't decide what I really wanted to do. And I really thought I was going to need to drop out because I hadn't found what I thought would be my future. And I switched to economics randomly. I had been doing like all like engineering and math and computer science related things. And then I just like switched to economics because I was like, hey, I did economics in high school. I thought it'll be fine because it was easy in high school and I have very few classes I need to take to finish. And that semester, the end of my sophomore year, I got really bad panic attacks. And it was crazy. I had to drop a bunch of classes and I took 12 units, which is the minimum requirement. And I lost like 15 pounds because I was just panicking so much. Especially because I didn't even see myself as doing economics. I was so far out of everything I had tried before and enjoyed. But I just had no other choice. And by luck, I mean, I was considering switching into three different majors after economics. That was just kind of like a placeholder for that semester where I took only 12 units. I was thinking of doing choral music, musical theater, or earth sciences. Those are
three very, those are different, yeah.
Yeah, because I've always been a musician. Music does help me a lot with my anxiety. So I was like, I don't think it'd be a bad idea to just become a musician. But like, I had always loved science and technology, and I was like, maybe I should stick with STEM. And I spoke with my dad a lot, and he was like, well, you do music on the side. I do music on the side. I play violin and I sing. So I was like, okay, I'll just try earth sciences because, I mean, I moved to California because I love the mountains. And I know it seems crazy to make a decision based off of, vibes, I guess. Like, I like mountains. Let's try it. And it was the best decision I ever made. I love it so much. And I remember walking into my first earth sciences class, which was called Field Techniques. And there were all these maps laid out on all the desks. And I almost cried right there because I was like, no way, I can like look at maps for my classes. Like, that's what I can do. Oh my gosh. And I loved it so much. I kept at it. And now I'm going to start my PhD in geological sciences in the fall, which is crazy. In 2 years, that's what happened. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Um, well, thank you. Thank you for sharing like so much of your story with us. And I can clearly see that thread of anxiety and panic, like you said, starting in childhood, going through middle school, high school, into college. Um, I had a lot of questions that came to mind, if it's okay if I kind
Yeah.
of go a little bit. Does it seem like your anxiety really started when your parents separated? Is that kind of where you would trace the beginnings of that?
That's as far back as I can remember that it happened. Maybe I had it before, but like the initial switching from one house to another, like I remember I would just when I would wake up in the middle of the night, it would be like calling for my mom. Like I'd be like, "Mama, like where's
Mm,
mom? Well, I'm alone." Like, and that's when I would like go and throw up, and then my mom would come to my dad's house at like 2 a.m. and like be there for me. And I think I do think that's where it started.
yeah, that makes sense, right? Because if we grow up with both parents in our household and then there's like such a dramatic change, especially when we're a young child, we can't understand why that happened. And then going back and forth, like the switching between environments is so it's so disorienting and it's so disruptive, and then it affects our attachments with our parents.
Yeah.
Um, do you remember how often you would switch
Yeah,
houses?
so it started out with just being at my dad's house for like a weekend. Like it would be so little. And even just that would make me so anxious. And then eventually it switched to half a week and half a week and every other weekend. I know that's kind of chaotic, but yeah, we would
Mhm.
pack up all of our
Yeah,
stuff and take all of our clothes like halfway through the week and then switch all the time. And then eventually it became 1 week and 1 week. And that's how it was for most of middle school and high school.
okay. Yeah, but even when it settled into a rhythm, like it's still so different, and it sounds like there were some
Yeah.
chaotic disruptive patterns going on there too.
Yeah.
Um, and you said we would go back and forth. Do you have a sibling or siblings?
Yeah, I have two siblings. So I have an older sister. She is 10 months older than me, and I have a younger brother who's 3 years younger than me.
Okay. And all three of you would kind of travel together between houses there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm taking notes here.
Hmm.
Um, and then it sounds like you went through elementary and middle school just thinking like everyone is this nervous, everyone has this nausea or this feeling of wanting to throw up and needs to go to the bathroom. Like you didn't realize that this is not how everyone is feeling.
Yeah,
And then was it high school that you realized there is something called anxiety, or did you say that was middle school?
yeah. It was high school actually when I found out.
My gosh, that's heartbreaking for me to hear that like you went through years upon years upon years without having language for this and without realizing that like other people don't experience this all the time at this intensity and that there are things we can do to help this. That's a
Yeah,
long time, let's say.
yeah. It is a long time.
Do you remember like what the light bulb moment was in high school when you realized there's something called anxiety?
I don't remember specifically, but I think it was because people kind of started using the term a lot more. Like people would say, "Oh, I'm so like anxious about this," or like, "Oh, this is giving me anxiety." And I'm sure it was a word that I had heard before, but I didn't really realize like I didn't associate it with like something. Like I thought it was just like a casual thing, and like like people just everyone just gets nervous. And it also helps that I went to a very diverse, very big high school because I made a lot of good friends that talked about their own experiences with mental health and things, and then I think just being exposed to that environment made me understand that it is actually uh, a separate thing. Like people don't just normally go through it. Oh, I do remember one of my best friends. She started getting a lot of anxiety and would start seeing a therapist. And one time I went over to her house and we would do makeup together. Like we love doing makeup. That was our thing. Um, and she started opening up to me about how she would feel anxious, so anxious sometimes. And I was like, wait, no way. Like me too. But like, I haven't seen a therapist about it. Like, how? And then we were just talking about it. And her brother came in and like kind of wanted to join and like our conversation. Um, and I remember asking him, like, do you ever feel like this? And he was like, no, like, that's so, maybe like if I have to give a
Oh,
big speech in front of like a big crowd, like maybe I feel a little bit nervous, but you feel nervous all the time? And I was like, yeah, you don't. And he was like, no, never. Like, that's not normal. And I was like, oh, wow, I can't believe people live like that in peace. That's crazy. So that was definitely a big moment. Yeah.
okay. So that sounds like a very big eye-opening moment because your best friend was saying that she does experience something similar, and then her brother was like, no. And so you had a clear example of like, number one, that anxiety is a thing and that not everybody experiences it, and
Yeah.
also that peace is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a big moment for sure.
Do you think you had experienced peace at that point in your life?
Um, like there were definitely times where I didn't have anxiety. When I would hang out with my friends, um, definitely there were times that were fine, but it was just a feeling that was so consistent. Like there, very often it was just kind of every single day, and even if it was for just like the morning part of the day, it was something that I was so used to, and it was just kind of like normal to me. So like yes, I did have moments of peace, but I like always with the anticipation of I was going to feel nervous again, or the anxiety was going to come back, and yeah, I guess
Okay.
that's what I would say.
So you had moments of peace, but it sounds like anxiety was kind of like the MO, like the your main operating mode
Yeah.
in life. Whereas I when I work with people, like as a psychologist, my hope is the opposite, where it's like peace is the main MO, with the understanding that because we're human, we are going to have moments of anxiety or moments of stress. But yeah, it was the opposite for you growing up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. You also mentioned something that comes up a lot with students that I find really hard to tease apart, which is that, especially with high achieving students, there is this complicated struggle of like, my anxiety helps me get good grades. Can you kind of talk about that and tease that apart a little bit for
Yeah.
us?
So it's kind of tricky.
Mhm.
I remember being in like kindergarten, and the teachers would tell us to do something, and I would just follow the instructions, and then I would get praised for it. And same with elementary school. I went to an elementary school that's like Montessori style teaching, so where they like you kind of work on your own assignments. They give you a list of the assignments you have to do, and you go to like the part of the classroom. You're like, I want to work on English today. So you go to like the English part of the classroom, and they have like the assignments all there, and you say, okay, I have to do section 2.3, and you pull out the assignment and you do it, and you basically work that way all on your own. Um, and so even with that, like I learned to do things on my own and put in a lot of effort because I realized that if I followed the instructions exactly, like it says, answer this question by doing this, I was like, perfect, I'll just do it like this, get it right, you get the points. So like since I was young, it was like ingrained into me, like follow directions and you'll do fine. And I just kept at that. And I think that contributed to me getting academic anxiety. Not that it's a bad form of teaching or anything. Like I loved it. I learned to be independent, and I learned to like how I do things best. Um, but I always felt like I had to follow the instructions perfectly. So that meant I had to answer all the questions on the test correctly because that's what the instructions were. The instructions say, like, choose the best answer for this, answer this question, like, do this. And to me, it's like, okay, that means I have to always be able to answer every single question on an exam. So I have to study enough to be able to answer every single question on the exam. And then that's kind of what I feel contributed to a lot of my anxiety. Um, and I would feel so much pressure to perform well. And I always got good feedback for it. So it was like a feedback loop. Like I remember
Yeah.
when in seventh grade, I was the only student that scored a perfect 100 on one of the exams. And my teacher told the whole class, she was like, you guys should all try to be more like Montse. Like, she got a perfect score. And all of you guys did not do great. But I remember that I had spent so many hours outlining all of the chapters that she told us. It was a history class. The chapters that we were going to have that exam on, I went through, and every single paragraph, I outlined every single paragraph and memorized my notes, so that I could know everything. And same thing happened in an English class where another teacher was like, she was like asking for people to answer questions on the homework that we were. It was English, so it was like long answer questions. And she was like, who wants to read their answer? And I went and read my answer, and it was like, I just did what the question asked. I went to the book and I quoted from the book, and then I put some of my own words in it. But it was like more effort than most of the other students did. So when I read my answer, she just like took a sigh and was like, wow, great job, Montse. Like, guys, this is what your answer should sound like. And so like people kept telling me like, you're doing great. And so I kept being like, I have to keep doing what I'm doing. And I have to, like, even as classes got harder, assignments got harder, I was like, I have to keep performing at this high level, like forever. Like I can't take a break. So I think definitely that is kind of the relationship between my anxiety helped me do better. But it didn't start with anxiety, but it got into
that. See, this is complicated because I see that like that feedback loop that you're talking about happens so easily in the school system, especially when like a teacher sees the outcome of your work, but they don't know what it costs you. Yeah. Right. And they don't know that you put in blood, sweat, and tears. And maybe, if it's okay for me to say, even like a little more effort than I would actually want. Like sometimes in therapy, I feel like I'm helping people like put in less effort, which is like a really strange thing with students. But I don't know. I'm just sort of observing that like part of the problem with that feedback loop is people focusing on the outcome of like the work that you would submit, which was stellar, right? Yeah. But in praising the outcome, they didn't know that the process was so painful for you.
Yeah. And you kind of mentioning that makes me think of something else too. Like something I've been struggling with a lot lately is what they call imposter syndrome. But I feel like it's been like pretty bad. Like, as I mentioned, I got into grad school, and actually I'm staying here at my current university with a professor that I already know. He accepted me. And I've learned that like when I get positive feedback from instructors or like people that I have like high respect for, that makes me feel a lot better and more confident in who I am and what I do. But even though I know this professor, I don't know him that well. We're not close. So like he doesn't really give me positive feedback. And so much, I spend so much time thinking like, oh my gosh, if I make like this one mistake, he's going to regret accepting me. Like we were on a field trip just this weekend to do geology. And he asked me directly a question about a rock that we saw in the field. He was like, Montse, like you should know this because I like talked to you about it. And he hadn't told the other students about it because it was like related to my PhD project that I'm going to do. And when he asked me directly and put me on the spot, I was like, no, I don't know. Like, you can't ask me. Like, I don't know this. And then another student came and answered, and he was like, oh, like, congrats to you for knowing it. And then like for the rest of the trip, I couldn't stop thinking about that. And I was like, man, he must think I'm so stupid. And he must be regretting accepting me right now because I literally couldn't answer his question. Even though like I was answering so many other questions and so many students came up to me. One other student in particular came up to me and was like, how do you know all the answers to these things? And I was like, what do you mean? Like I'm answering so many things wrong. And he was like, no, you're doing the best. And I was like, So it kind of made me feel sad for a lot of the trip, which is sad in and of itself because the trip was great and the people were great and we had so much fun and it was beautiful. But I can't stop thinking about every time I make a little mistake. Like I forgot my water bottle once and it made me late to his class. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm late to his class. He's going to regret accepting me as his student. and I can't stop thinking about it, and I cringe about it all the time. So
Okay. I have a lot of thoughts about this, and I'm going to try to just keep it as like a conversation here, not therapy, right? But like,
yeah, yeah,
I'm coming at it from a few perspectives because I've also been a professor, I've been a supervisor, mentor, and therapist. But like, what I sometimes tell students about grad school is like, you're there to learn. So if you show up knowing everything 100%, why are you there? Right. So if you already know everything, you don't need to go to grad school.
yeah.
And one of the secrets is that professors, supervisors, they're looking for people who are teachable. They're not looking for people who are perfect, because they also want to feel like they have something to contribute to you and to your learning and to your growth. So if you show up knowing every answer or you know everything, then again, why are we here?
Yeah.
But I also hear in your story that like from a very young age, somehow you got the message that you're supposed to know every single answer. And I guess I'm wondering, like, do you think that came from like school? Like, did someone actually impart to you this idea that like you should 100% know the correct answer to every question? Was it coming from inside you? Like, where, I guess I'm curious, where does that come from for you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, I've thought about it a lot too, because it comes from me. Like I remember from being so young, just the fact that my teachers would tell me I did a good job, me just following instructions. It was easy at first with like elementary school things. Like it would just be like, cut this out like this. And I'm like, okay, I do it perfectly. And then the teachers are like, great. And I just like, it just kind of grew from that. But my parents never pressured me to do great in school. And I think it's because I kind of started out always doing good, performing well. So they never pressured me at all. They also never pressured any of my siblings. So yeah, it comes from me. But I often ask myself, if it's coming from me, why can't I just stop making myself suffer? Why like just stop? Like I don't have to have these expectations of myself. But definitely like my own reputation as well. Like throughout middle school and throughout high school, and like the way that the teachers liked me, and that also contributed.
Yeah, because again, that feedback loop that you highlighted, right? Like if you go into the school system doing well, being high achieving, doing some things perfectly, and then that's what gets praised and that's what gets reinforced.
Yeah.
Then it's just kind of like we ride this roller coaster of like compliance and approval. And then like one mistake causes so much shame. And we get so preoccupied about it because we don't really have the experience that it's okay to make mistakes and that we're all just growing and that mistakes are normal, or not knowing the answer is normal.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've gotten like really, really hooked into that. Yeah, that's really painful, Montse.
Yeah.
I don't know what will happen for you. My hope for you is that, especially in grad school, you will be around other students as well as professors who have grace for the times that you don't know something, or the times that you're just like abjectly human. Yeah. You're always human, but you know what I mean? There's times where we're like, oh God, my humanity is showing here.
Yeah.
Or yeah, times where you don't know, or you make a mistake. I'm hoping that you experience grace in those moments and that it's normalized for you.
Yeah.
My experience with imposter syndrome is that it was the most painful in grad school. But what helped was just gaining experience. So, whether it was like doing research, or in my case, like clinical work, just like doing it over and over and over again, the imposter part just kind of died down.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes things worse or better for you to hear that, but I'm just trying to
it
give you some hope.
And I do have quite a few grad school friends, where I asked them, like, do you feel like you don't know what you're doing for a lot of the time? Because like right now I'm working on my senior thesis, and I was doing some research last semester. Um, and for a lot of it, I was like, man, I don't even know if I deserve to be doing this because I don't know what I'm doing. And I have so much knowledge that I'm lacking. And so, like, I talked to them about it, and they're like, yeah, for us, grad school feels like we don't know what we're doing for pretty much all of it. But you have friends that also don't know what they're doing. You have advisors that are there to help. And you'll make it through, and it's okay. And that's like normal. And like, hearing that that's a normal experience did make me feel a lot better.
It's totally normal. I'm glad you have those conversations, because I sometimes think it's sort of this like comedy of errors where like a lot of people as grad students, maybe undergrad as well, but they're all walking around feeling like I don't really belong here. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily realize that most people feel that way.
Yeah.
I started grad school 21 years ago now. I think the difference is like through most of grad school, I felt like I don't know what I'm doing. But now I would say I still don't like 100% really know what I'm doing. But instead of that being a source of like imposter syndrome and fear, it's actually kind of exciting. Like, oh, I'm going to hop on this call with Montse. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but like, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but like, that's really cool. Like, I can't wait to see where our conversation goes. I'm just going to be a listener and be curious. So it's not that I feel like I know what I'm doing now. It's not with certainty that I do things, but it's that I'm more comfortable not knowing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just sort of sharing my own experiences there. I think most people become more comfortable with not knowing what they're doing.
Okay. That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe some people reach a point of certainty where they're like, I absolutely know what I'm doing every day. And but you don't necessarily have to like hit that point of feeling like, it's just you're more comfortable with not knowing.
Yeah. Okay. That helps a lot to hear. I've been trying to like understand that I have to like learn to live with things about myself and like love myself more. And so the feeling of not knowing is definitely one of those things that I want to try to be okay with, because I know that it's going to be there. And instead of like shaming myself for it, I should just, celebrate it and turn it into curiosity. I have so many questions I always want to ask. And sometimes I stop myself because I don't want to seem dumb. But I do want to be better at embracing that.
One thing I do know for certain, Montse, is that you are not dumb and you are not stupid. Okay. So I've heard you use those words in this conversation. I'm just like, that I know for certain. You're not dumb. You're not stupid. You're at a very competitive university.
Mm-hmm.
About to start a PhD there as well in the fall. So there is no dumb or stupidity here. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, going back to anxiety, one of the things we talk about with anxiety is that one of the ways that we heal and kind of recover from it and experience it less is we expand our capacity to tolerate uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that idea?
Yeah. When I did see therapy, I did see a therapist for a little bit. And that was something that she wanted me to work on. Like she told me she was like, what do you normally get when you like go to a coffee shop? And I'm like, oh, like I usually get this specific drink and this specific sandwich and nothing else. And she was like, I want you to go and just order something random off the menu. And like when she told me that, I don't know why it was so shocking to me. I was like, there's no way. How could I ever do that? No, absolutely not. But she would just kind of like make me do little challenges like that. And I would go and I would do them. And sometimes I would hate the result. I mean, I'm very picky. So that's why I always stick to like what I know I want to order. And And so I knew going into it that I was not going to like the drink that I got. And the truth is, I didn't like it. I just threw it away and wasted, like, I don't know, $4. Um, but the experience of it felt it felt like I was being brave. I know it's a small thing as buying something that I don't like, even though I'm very picky. But yeah, it was just little things like that. And I think mostly right now I'm doing good. Like I haven't felt anxiety in a very long time. I haven't had panic attacks in a very long time. And the I can attribute it to like the time where I switched to earth sciences. And I think it was because before I had always been scared to do things for myself. Like I said, I always wanted to perform at the highest level and like live up to people's expectations. Like Montse is going to be like a astrophysicist, and I didn't all these things. Like people had, and even when I got into university, like in high school, when I got into some universities, like people were always telling me, like I got into some really good ones, and people were telling me, why wouldn't you like go to that one? Like that one's incredible, but it's on the East Coast and there are no mountains nearby. And like my heart was in California, and I agonized for months because people were telling me to go choose a university based on its prestige when I knew that I wanted to be in California. But anyways, like it had always been me like not choosing things for myself or fighting to choose things for myself. And so I feel like that's relating to what you were saying about like to get better from anxiety. It's like trying to be okay with uncertainty. And that the biggest step for me was finally choosing myself and choosing something that I really enjoyed. And I chose earth sciences because I love the mountains. And even though like among the science community, people like say geology and they're like, oh, that's just rocks. Like it's like other scientists kind of like look down on it. And so I think that was part of the reason why I hadn't chosen it earlier, because I was like, no, I always have to do like the hardest science and the hardest engineering. But I knew my heart was like with the earth and with nature, and I was always going to the national parks. But I was so scared to choose something for myself because I hadn't really done that before. And then when I finally did it, it was the best decision I could have made. And like I realized that you actually can have fun in school. I always thought like classes had to be suffering and had to be like so many difficult assignments and late nights, and it still is to some extent late nights, but now I love everything that I do. And I never knew that you could have fun in school. Like that's never two things that in my mind were together. And then, as I said, I switched to earth sciences. I was actually a little bit sad at first because I was like, you're telling me like that I could have done this my whole life. Like I could have like chosen myself. And the classes were actually pretty easy to me. And so I was like, man, I'm doing easy classes. Like this must mean that I'm choosing the easy way out. But it was actually really hard for all the other students. And in many classes, I was like helping the students learn. Like when we would have like lab sessions and stuff, I'd be like, wait, like how do you not understand? Like not like that. I mean, I'm a very
Yeah.
but like in my mind, I would be like, I'm like kicking myself over here because I'm taking the easy classes. But maybe it's just that I enjoy it so much that it comes somewhat naturally to me. And that kind of just reinforces the fact that I should be here and that I made the right choice. Like why do I always like take every chance to just like kick myself, you know? I'm like, no, it's not easy stuff. It's hard stuff. And I just love it so much that makes me want to put effort into it. And yeah, I mean, I stopped having like school related anxiety. Now it's been like 2 years and I have not had anxiety about it. I've just been so happy with everything that I'm studying. And it all came because I chose myself. And I don't know if I would have been able to figure that out, like if I didn't go through all of that. Like I realized I went through a lot of hard stuff, and finally like it got to a point where I couldn't continue, and I was like, no, I have to like make a change. And I still struggle with putting myself first sometimes. But now like, yeah, I did it, and it's been great.
That's profound. Like, that is a profound difference that you experienced, like, once you decided on this major, um, and you chose yourself. It sounds like rather than the voices of other people around you and like, um, I mean, for someone to make a choice of where they go to college once they like based on where the mountains are, I feel like that's pretty telling in hindsight. That was,
Yeah. I was really
um,
anxious about that actually, because everyone was telling me to go somewhere else. And I was like, I want to see Yosemite, bro. Like, stop. But yeah.
yeah, and now you're going to stay at this university
Yeah.
for
Because I
your
love California.
PhD.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that sounds like a good decision as well, where you went to undergrad.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, and so then with the major, how many times did you switch majors? Like six,
Six or
six
seven.
times?
I don't remember exactly. I had seven. I think I had seven different majors. So that would mean six switches, I think. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So grew up switching houses a lot and then switching majors a lot. And then finally it was like, this is the major. And it sounds like that's been confirmed to you like so many times, like when you walked into class and they had all the maps out. But then also seeing that for other students, they might be struggling with these classes, whereas for you, it just comes really naturally. I'm guessing might be an area of giftedness. And then because you love it, you do put the effort into to understand it as well.
Yeah.
Um, that's profound.
Mm.
And that like that sounds like it like severely affected your anxiety in a positive way.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like I got so lucky because I, I, I didn't initially choose earth sciences because I was choosing myself. I chose it because I was like, I'm out of options. I'm out of time. I have to choose a major, and this one seems like I'd enjoyed it. That's it. I'm trying. I was kind of like, for me, it was like uh, giving up on all the like hard stuff, and that's why I felt so sad about like myself, and imposter syndrome. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm dumb. Like I can't believe I'm just like choosing the easy way out. Like, um, and then it ended up. Then I realized that actually it is what I loved, and I could embrace it, and I could choose myself. But it didn't start that way. And I got so lucky. I feel like it was just such a crazy chance, and I found it, and it's great.
And it's fun. Like it's not very often, Montse, that people use the F word in relation to school, fun. It's like
Yeah,
what? It could be fun. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
But I do think that what was that?
I was shocked. I felt like I wasn't allowed. Like I went and did my mapping assignments, and I was like, with like coloring pencils, and I was like, really? Like, But yeah, sorry. Continue what you were saying.
Yeah, like it's kind of shocking, right? That like once for some people, maybe not for all people, but for some people, once they find what their path is, um, and maybe there's multiple paths that can be right, but it can be really fun. And I do think there's a bit of a myth that things have to be hard.
Mhm.
And I don't know what the myth is exactly. Like maybe we all believe that like if it's not hard, it's not meaningful, or if it's not hard, we're not headed in the right direction or something like that. Or like I see this with like students at school, and I see this with like just people, in their jobs. It's like the myth of things have to be hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. Um, but yeah, I love that you have found this.
Yeah. Me too.
I had a question and it kind of like flew from my mind, but what was my question? Oh, okay. I remember my question. If someone's watching this and they are having a hard time deciding their major, well, actually, before I ask about a major, can we talk about where to go to college?
Oh yeah, sure.
Because these are conversations that are a source of great like angst and agony and decision making when I talk with like high school students and college students. So the first one of where to go to college.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's like trying to decide where to go? Their parents have opinions, their grandparents have opinions, their friends are going places. Like, I don't know, any advice for someone in that spot of trying to choose where they go to college?
Yeah, definitely. Um, well, for me, I know this is not the same for most people, but for me, what really was most important was being somewhere where I could adventure. That was like being growing up in Florida. It was just it's so flat. I mean, our average elevation is like 600 feet, 300 feet, something like that, or less than that. I don't know. No, our highest point in Florida is 300 feet. Our average elevation is like really close to sea level. But anyways, like I would always want to go on an adventure and go exploring. And like me and my friends, I would drive like my dad's car and we would try to drive around and there's swamp and there's beaches. Yay. It's great if you want to visit, but like living there, like we had seen everything. I had seen everything. And so I kind of knew already that I wanted to go somewhere that had mountains and forest and desert and like a lot of great things. So to me, that was the most important factor. I know for some people, the most important factor might be like prestige or affordability. I was really lucky that I got scholarships and financial aid. So like the money aspect was not a concern for me because like the schools that I got into that wanted me, I would be able to afford them. So I will say like I'm privileged in that sense that I got multiple options that I could choose from. Um, but I think the most important thing would be like students should try to visualize the things that they love the most or the things that they want the most out of college. They should try to visualize like which place can give them that. If that's like I don't know, good food places and city life, then they maybe want to go to a city. If that's like hiking on weekends with friends, maybe they want to go to a place close to national parks. Um, and if it's becoming the best in their field, maybe then they choose the most prestigious place. Um, but I would advise against choosing based on prestige because that is not, again, it depends on every person, but like it's not always the best to throw away your own happiness and sacrifice things that you want out of a college experience purely for the academics, because college is so much more than just academics. It's so much more. It's making friends and learning how to live on your own and like learning what you like doing on the weekends and figuring out how you can like get somewhere using public transport or renting a car. And it's just all these new experiences of you becoming the person that you are meant to be. And if you choose a location based solely on academics and prestige, then you're throwing away a lot of what could make you happy. So yeah, that would be my advice, is to just like visualize like what's most important to you. Maybe not necessarily so much focus on the prestige. And like choose somewhere that you think would bring you joy and where you would have things that you would want to do that are fun for you. That's what I would say.
Great advice. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing that. Even in my own family this past weekend, I was just sitting there listening to a teenager kind of be told like where they could go to college, and it was making me feel nervous for them. But thank you for sharing that. That makes a lot of sense. And then my follow-up question is like, for people who are in college and they're having this agony about like, what major do I choose? They're feeling lost about that. What would you say?
Yeah, that's great also, because that ties into the aspect of after college too. I think another big pressure of me of choosing like really hard majors is because they would bring me the most money. Like people want you to go for the highest paid job after college and like live on your own and be able to afford a lot of things, buy a car. And when I chose earth sciences, I mean, I could make a lot of money in oil and gas, but there's no way I'm going to do that. I mean, I love the earth. That's why I chose earth sciences. Like I'm probably not going to, I'm going to grad school, so I'm not going to make too much money, which is fine. So I would say also like learning to be okay with not choosing what everyone perceives as the best. So like with the universities, it was prestige. With like careers, it's the most money making. That's not where we should place our idea of happiness, because it's just like human made concept. Like money is just money comes and goes. Like who cares? I think the bravest and hardest thing to do in college is to choose to do what makes you happy. I see several of my friends are art majors, and they know that they are not going to make a lot of money, but they are so happy because they are really choosing what they love and what they want to do. And I see a lot of people that are in majors that they're not happy in, or in majors that they chose because they feel like they're like, that's what their parents want them to do. Like their parents want them to go into business. And it just, I wish people would understand. It took me a long time to understand that when you choose what makes you the happiest, you will become great at it. Because if it makes you happy, you will put in so much effort and it will be good for you, that you'll become great and you'll end up making money some way or another. And then you'll just like you'll end up being in the best place that you possibly could have been, because you're helping other people with your great work. You're helping yourself because you're happy. And so even if it seems like what would make you the happiest is not the most paying, it will eventually be, because it will be what makes you happy and you will be great at it. So that is what I would say. Go for the thing that is fun, which I know is hard, but go for what is fun.
Yeah, and going for what is fun might end up being easy, and then you can become great at it and contribute positively to people's lives. You know, there's that intersection. I think it's called ikigai. It's like a Japanese term for like what you're passionate about, what you can make a living at. Not meaning the most money, just like you can pay your bills or whatever. But and then also what the world needs. And that intersection feels like a sweet spot.
I wanted to add one more thing also. That I always hear people say, like, never choose your hobby as your job, because then you'll end up hating your hobby. But I also have heard a quote that says, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I definitely think that the second one is true. You can definitely have your hobbies as your career. And hey, if you get tired of it, go choose another hobby as a career. Like, it's not, you definitely go by the second one, that you'll never work a day in your life if you do what you love. So
it's kind of, there is this zone of like bliss that we can have, you know, that I would say I've experienced as well, like working as a psychologist. I would also say, like, you know, in the phase of life that I'm in, some of the people that I know who make the most money are the most miserable. And it probably varies depending on like why they chose that path. But I have a friend who talks about their job as like golden handcuffs. And I'd never heard that phrase before, but I think what he meant was like he makes a ton of money and it just feels like he can never leave, because now he and his family are dependent on him making that much money, even though he's miserable. And like, it's what you're saying is so true. Like, don't choose a major or even a job based on the money.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, I have a final question that I ask everyone, Montse, but before I get to my final question, I want to just throw it back to you. Like, is there anything else that you want to share? Any topics we didn't touch on that you want us to talk about? Questions that you have?
Like, I feel like there's quite a few things that we could still talk about, but there was one thing that I did want to mention with something that you said earlier. You mentioned like that you wish that in the situations where my humanity would show, that there would be someone that like would make me feel like it was okay. And I do actually have an experience with that. And I did want to talk about it a little bit because I do think it's helpful. back in junior year of college, I used to play sports. I used to do volleyball, soccer, and tennis. All year round, I was always playing sports. And then junior year, I was at volleyball practice the beginning of the season, and I broke my knee, and I had to have surgery. And it was like one of the worst times in my life, because like I was like really scared of surgery, and my surgeon was not great, and he like did things to my knee that he hadn't told me that he was going to do, and I'm someone that like needs to be told everything. I only found out 3 years later when I had to get another surgery to fix what he did. I only found out that he had things that he didn't tell me, and I felt like I'd lost part of myself, and I went through like a really big depression. I also lost a lot of weight, something like 15 or 20 pounds, and my grades dropped, and that like was so bad for me because I was always someone, like a part of my identity was like being a high achieving student. And I got my first ever B, which I know sounds so like conceited to say, I know, but like for me, it was like, I lost part of myself from having this surgery. I lost part of myself from losing my good grades. I couldn't keep up in class. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. And since I couldn't sleep, I would fall asleep in class. So then I wouldn't learn the material. So then I went home to try to do the homework, and I couldn't do the homework. And I also couldn't even focus on the homework. And it was just like a cycle of like, I couldn't learn. I couldn't function. And I had this one teacher. I was taking AP Physics that semester. And we had a quiz coming up. It was like the first quiz of the semester. And I could not study for it. I had not completed the homeworks. And I did the crazy thing, to me was crazy at the time. I did the crazy thing of emailing her the day before and being like, look, I promise you that I'm a good student. I'm typically a good student. But like after having my surgery and like I've just have not felt like myself and have not been able to study. And I was wondering if there was any way potentially that I could not take the quiz tomorrow because I'm not ready for it. And if I take it, I know I will fail. But I feel like if I just had a little bit more time, like I can prove to you that I am a good student and that I will study for it and I will prepare for it. I made sure to make it clear. I was like, this doesn't mean I don't care about your class and et cetera, et cetera. Cause like, all of my self-doubts of like how people would perceive me. Cause there are a lot of students that like skip exams and don't do the homework. And I was like, that's like, I want her to know that it's not me. And I was like, I can even show you like all my grades before. I promise I'm good. And it was like the hardest email for me to send because it was, as you said, me showing like my human side, like, I won't be able to perform at this. And it was also me asking for something for myself, which I had never really done, especially to anyone that was like above me or like a professor or a teacher. And I was really nervous sending it. And I sent it because I knew I was going to fail that exam. And I was like, man, asking is better than not doing anything at all and failing. Because with asking, like, potentially there's a chance. Potentially, like, it's fine. So I emailed her, and her response was, like, the most patient, incredible even, like, I think about it to this day, and, like, it brings me to tears almost because, like, it was something that I needed to hear so much at that time. Like, she said the kindest things ever. She said something along the lines of, like, Montse, I appreciate that you reached out. I so much appreciate that you reached out. And I want you to know that it's totally okay. You don't have to take the quiz tomorrow. When you come to class, you can just go to the corner and put your head down and take a nap if that's what you need. And I had brought up to her, I was like, I can take it in like a week from today, or I can take it the next day. Like I was like already scheduling. And she had said, please don't worry about when you're going to take it. I want you to take it when you feel ready. And if that means the end of the semester or the end of the quarter, then that means the end of the quarter. And I want you to know that it's okay. I'm sorry that you're going through all of these things, and it's okay to ask for help. And if there's anything that you need at all, please let me know because I'm here for you. And I was just so shocked. I totally did not expect a response like that because part of me didn't believe that I deserved that kind of patience and that kindness. like I felt like, man, I'm going through this like really tough time. It's up to me to just like, what's that, what they say, pull up your bootstraps and get it over with. Like I was like, this is on me. Like I have to be better. I have to get over feeling this sad and not being able to sleep. Like this is like me failing at things. Like this is me being not enough. And when she had said that, I was like, wow. Like I like broke down. I was like, that's exactly what I needed to hear. And I came in the next day and all the students took the exam, and she guided me to a desk in the corner and let me put my head down, and I slept. And for the rest of the exams and tests and midterms and everything, she said, whenever you need an extension on the homework as well, you just let me know. And like, I was just so grateful that she even like trusted me enough, because as I said, I know there are students that take advantage of things like that. And she trusted me to not be one of those students. And I took almost all of the quizzes that semester. There were 2 that I think I did miss. And she just said, like, don't worry about them. Like, I'll average your quiz grade and like say, put those in like that. And I did fine that quarter or semester. I don't remember what the system was. I did fine. That's the next semester. I got a 5 on the AP physics exam. And I couldn't have done it without her. Like she saved me basically. And I had another teacher as well that helped me a lot. And my guidance counselor at the time, like college advisor from high school, like she also, like, I told her I was having a really hard time, and she emailed all the teachers and was like, Montse can't keep up with her work. Like, can we all collaborate? And they made a big spreadsheet of all the teachers, like giving me the assignments that I needed to do and the deadlines. And like, I could ask for extensions, and just everyone was on that like shared doc. And I would like, it was just, I realized that when you need help, there's always a community out there that will help you. And all of my teachers came together to help, but especially her. Like, she changed my life and helped me realize that I deserve patience from myself too. And like, I should cut myself some slack. And so, yeah, I think that's definitely something that I wanted to mention, because like, I can understand how hard it can be to go through like a life-changing event that like takes away your ability to do things that are important to you. So not only had I lost the ability to play sports, to this day, I still can't run. I'm working on it. But I lost the ability to play sports, which I had done my whole life. I stopped getting good grades for that semester, even though they were still good. To me, like, it was like, I lost that. I also went through a bad experience with the surgeon and with the surgery that made me feel really invalidated. And there's a way to come back from that. And it's to like learn to try to understand that there are people there for you if only you tell them that you need help. I was going to try to go through it all on my own, and I couldn't do it. And so, yeah, people will rise up to help, and it's definitely much better than doing anything alone.
My goodness, that is such a powerful story. And thank you so much for sharing that, because I mean, I hate to say it this way, Montse, but I almost feel like it's kind of unheard of for a teacher to respond in that way. And then for all of your teachers to collaborate with each other. Like, it sometimes feels like it takes an act of God for teachers to like collaborate. It shouldn't be that way, but that's really amazing that she responded to you that way with so much patience, and to just like guide you to a corner and let you take a nap.
Yeah, it was
beautiful.
It was what I needed at the time. And so like, it does make me sad that is not a typical experience. And I know in part it's because like teachers have to be strict, and they can't, like, students will take advantage of that. But like, if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have made it through that. Like, it took me so many months to even start feeling like myself again. And like, I was in a really bad headspace. And so I'm so grateful that they were there for me, and they collaborated for me, and they trusted me, because I didn't even trust myself, but they trusted me, and they were like, we know that you're a good student. I didn't even believe that. Even though I had been performing so highly, I was like, nah, like, I don't deserve them like helping me. But I did. And their help got me through it. And it did take me a few months to start feeling like myself again. But after that, like, when I came out of that like slump of just like feeling so hopeless and hating myself a lot, um, I felt much more confident in myself than I ever had in my whole life. Like I had always struggled with like body image issues. And when I broke my knee, I was like, stupid knee. Like, why did you go and break? Like, I was blaming my own knee for breaking. I was like, it's pathetic. Like, I was telling myself how pathetic I was. And like, I couldn't walk. And I was like, wow, like, I used to be able to sprint. I was like the fastest on my soccer team. And now I can't walk. Like, pathetic. Like, I was just so kicking myself. And then when I came out of that, and it took me like 5 or 6 months to get off of crutches. But when I got off the crutches, I was like, instead of thinking how pathetic that was, I saw how incredible that was. I was like, man, I came back from that. Like, I can walk again. And it's just incredible. Like, my feet can take me anywhere that I want them to. And I'm just like, my body image issues kind of went away because I was like, I used to hate how my knees looked. And then I hated that my knee broke. And now I'm like, wait, like I have knees and I have legs and I can walk. Like, why? It puts so much into perspective for me. And it definitely helped that the teachers were so patient with me because I learned to be patient with myself and to love myself more and to be grateful for the fact that like I can do what I want essentially. And now my legs have taken me to like some of the tallest mountains and to the desert. And they've taken me everywhere. And I've had 2 other surgeries since then. But every time I've taken it on, like it'll be fine. I'm going to be better and it's going to help me do even more of what I want. And it's great. I have a lot more patience with myself now because especially because of that experience. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would not wish on my worst enemy the experience you had with your knee breaking, but also this really disturbing experience with the surgeon. Like that sounds horrific. But it's almost like when we lose some capacity or we lose something, when we get it back, it's like we appreciated that much more profoundly. And again, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I would never wish that on you or anyone else to lose a capacity like that. But ironically, you walked away from that with more confidence and then appreciating your legs and that you can walk and where they've taken you.
Yeah. Yeah. I also wouldn't wish it on anyone. I just hope that for people that do have to go through something like that, like if by chance they do, like there is a way to come back, because I know that it can feel like there's no way to come back, but there is. So, yeah.
You said a few times with this story that like you felt like you lost yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I guess to what degree do you feel like you have the opposite, whether that be like you have found yourself or you have chosen yourself? Like, where are you at in terms of like, I lost myself, but at this point I'm what?
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel pretty great. I feel like I'm able to accept like things about myself that I didn't like before, even though it's still hard. Don't get me wrong. It's still hard. I feel like now I'm doing much better at accepting things about myself. What else? Yeah, that was definitely one experience that helped push me in that direction by a lot. Like I got like before I used to like hate things about how my body looked. I was like, like I don't like the shape of this, et cetera, et cetera. And that helped me by a lot be like, no, like love yourself. It's okay. But there's still a lot of like improvement that I could do beyond that. Still, I have some days where I'm just like, oh, like if I like did more like exercise or did this, and then I'm like, no, it's okay. Like people, something that helps me a lot is when I see people, especially people that are my friends, I have so much love for them. And I never see anything about them like negative, like ever. But with me, I'm so hard on myself and I criticize things about myself that I would never put on anyone else. So I try to tell myself like, look at myself the way I see other people, like with so much love and compassion. Like, give some of that to me. Like, pretend I was in another body and just looking at myself and getting to know the person that I am. And that helps a lot. So I would say I'm in a pretty good headspace now. I still have some off days, but mostly it's learning that you deserve to give yourself compassion and empathy. Yeah.
Passion, empathy, patience, love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of, I don't know if you've ever heard of loving kindness meditation, but it's a form of meditation where you're sort of like, I don't know how to say it. You're like giving loving kindness to other people as you meditate, but this sounds like the version of like giving that to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like even in little things, like I always had really long hair growing up. This is so random, but I always had really long hair and I hated it. I always would have it tied back. Always. You maybe you'd see it down like 3 days a year or something. And I knew that if I cut my hair, like I was worried people would have opinions of me, et cetera, et cetera. But I was like, just do what it like love yourself. Do what feels right for you. It's okay. And then I shaved my head. And now I have short hair and I'm never going back. Well, maybe I will go back one day. But like it's just little things like that. Like if one of my friends cut their hair super short, I would celebrate them. So why was I giving myself such a hard time about it if I knew that's what I want? So yeah, just that's a very silly little example, but it's just like treat yourself with the same love and respect you'd give someone else, and it's fine. You'll be happier that way.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, well, is there anything else that you want to share or say before I ask my final question? I want to make sure I give you ample opportunity. So,
no, I think that's okay. I think that's good.
Okay. So the closing question that I ask everyone in these conversations is, what do you wish you knew when you were younger?
That's a very good one. I need to think about it a little bit. I wish I knew that adults and parents don't have it all figured out. And that if you ever feel a reason to doubt them, that's okay. And it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you, or there's something wrong with like questioning authority. Because my parents were not perfect. My dad was pretty great. He is great. Like, I love him so much. But my mom hurt me and my siblings in so many ways. And if I had known earlier that like what parents say is not the law and it's not the truth, I feel like I could have protected myself from a lot of things. But as a little child trying to do her best, I was like, no, my mom has to be right. And I have to obey her and listen to everything that she says. But it was hurtful. It was very hurtful. And to this day, like me and my sister and my brother, not as much because he was really young, but me and my sister like struggle so much with a lot of things that our mom did. So that's what I wish I had known, that it's okay to question what the adults say and that they're not always right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not till we're a little older that we realize that adults and parents are human too, right?
Yeah.
And they make mistakes and they say things that are flat out not the truth.
Yeah. And I know that it's a little bit unrelated to our whole conversation, but like that is definitely something that is important to me.
To me, it's not unrelated because I can see going back, I can see the connections between like, if you didn't feel like it was okay for you to make mistakes, like you didn't know that your mom was making mistakes when she said these things to you because you didn't really have that concept, right, of like people say and do things that are not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for saying that. I think a lot of us need to hear that.
Yeah. And I learn it more as I grow, and I'm like, oh, I'm an adult now, but I still feel like me. Like, it's not what the adults are is like not, it's not this like different crazy concept of like a perfect person. It's just people growing too.
Yeah. Still people in process, right? In progress and just
Yeah.
developing and growing and learning and being human and making mistakes along the way.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Montse, and sharing your story with us.
Yeah. And again, thank you for having me. This was a really great conversation.
Yeah. Credit to you for that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for listening as well.
Of course. So grateful to Montse for her openness and sharing so many aspects of her story with us, and grateful that she's now in such a better place than she was in her earlier years. And of course, like all of us, is still in process, myself included, right? So, um, yeah. So if you're someone who is really in the throes of still struggling with anxiety in a way that's negatively affecting you, whether that be, negatively affecting you at school or in your friendships or other relationships, please remember we do have a signature anxiety program that can help you. And the first step is sharing the link for our free training with your parents. The link is below in the pinned comment and in the description. And they'll learn 3 keys for helping you move forward in your education and friendships. And they'll also have an opportunity to enroll you in our anxiety program. So, hope you enjoyed this conversation. Take care.